Hello everyone and welcome back to MiFi Crusade. Today I've got a very special episode for you for Christmas. Today we're going to talk about something that I wasn't planning on talking about today. I was planning on a video that would wrap up my 2019 and give us a good starting point for my current numbers, net worth and all that stuff going into 2020 when I start actually turning 40 and start the whole MiFi Crusade update video series. Well, today I got a wonderful present from my city where I live. Two actual presents. The first one is a letter letting me know that the appraised value of my property has gone up. Hooray. However, that also comes with a downside of now I owe more in taxes. But it wasn't that prompted this video. My video today is actually about the worst Christmas present ever, and that is a $6,000 bill from my water company. So stick around and we'll discuss. Before we get into exactly what this $6,000 bill is for, take a moment to subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell so you get notified whenever I put out a new video. You're going to learn a lot more about this and, you know, anything that happens to me throughout my crusade for financial independence. So take a second, click the subscribe, click the notification bell, and we'll get right into it. So here we go. What was this bill for? Well, turns out that when I purchased this property back in December of 2017, the city was aware of something that they didn't bother to disclose to me. They mentioned to nobody, apparently, that there was a leak in the service line for my home. And that would be the line going from the water main to my actual property. In this case, it wasn't actually on my property, though. This leak existed in the middle of the street. It was between the water shutoff that was at the edge of my property and the water main, which actually existed at the end of the road. So a couple of days ago, I received this bill for exactly $5,776.80. And that bill takes into account 9 hours of worker time, the equipment and materials for replacing that service line from my water shutoff that was at the edge of my property to the water main on the other side of the street. One of the other things that they didn't bother to mention to me when I bought this house was there was actually a option for a secondary insurance for water and sewer. According to city ordinance, the homeowner is responsible for the servicing of your water service line and the sewer line from the point that it leaves the water main or the sewer line from the city and enters to your property and to your house. So if there's an issue with the water line or with the sewer line and it exists in the middle of the road, you're responsible for that. You're responsible for paying for the repair and the replacement of it. And now you might be wondering, well, if they were aware of this back in 2017, why are you just getting a bill for it in the end of 2019? And the answer to that question is, I have no clue. It turns out that they didn't feel it was important enough to tell me until they tried to contact the owner of the property back in October, and they found out that the house had been sold. They then contacted me to let me know that there was an issue with my water line and that I should contact some contractors, and they gave me a list of 7 different contractors to contact. And these were all supposedly contractors that had been vetted by the city that they did work with. So I reached out to every number on that list And of those numbers, only two of them were still in service. That's right. Two of those phone numbers were actually still in service. And of those two numbers, after contacting them for 2.5 months, I couldn't reach them. I kept getting voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. In some cases, their voicemail was full. In other cases, I would leave a voicemail and then I would hear nothing back. I never got a single call back from either of the two contractors that were on that list. So fast forward a little bit, and it turns out that at 2 o'clock in the morning, they had somebody come through here. And now, let me quickly just sidetrack. About 6 weeks ago, our gas company came out. 6 to 8 weeks ago, our gas company came out, and they did some work on the road. They had actually just changed over the service line for the gas. They had come out during the spring, and they had redone my service line for my natural gas to basically change it over to their new line, and they moved my meter from inside the basement to outside where they could actually read it. This house was built in 1929, so when it got changed over to gas originally back in like the 50s or 60s or something, they had at that time put the meters inside, and now they want them outside where they can realistically read them. But anyway, they came out and they did some work in the road, and after that, there was a divot in the middle of our street. And every time it rained, it would collect water. And our neighbors contacted the city multiple times after the natural gas company had sent their people out. And we notified them multiple times that there was a divot in the road that was left by the natural gas company, and that they needed to come out and they needed to fix it because it was collecting water, and we would just end up with a pool of water there for 3 days until enough of it had, sprayed out from people driving through it for the rest of it to evaporate off. Well, about, I want to say middle of November, there was a little bit of rain on like the 10th or 11th, I want to say. There was some rain and it pooled in that puddle. That wouldn't have been anything spectacular if 2 days later, while the water was still pooled in the middle of the road, we got this huge cold snap, and it was about 18 degrees out. So whenever somebody rode by, they drove through the puddle, it would spray all over the place, and then that would then cause ice on the road because it would immediately freeze. Now that the water was actually free of this big puddle, it would freeze down the street. So there was a person from the city that came out. They saw this puddle. They saw the ice. They immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was my property and my water line that was the cause of it. And they sent a crew out at 2 o'clock in the morning, which means overtime hours. And they worked from 2 a.m. Till about 4 a.m., just marking off where the lines were, where the gas line, where the water line was. And they ended up spending basically 3 hours doing effectively nothing with 5 people out in front of our house. At about 5 o'clock in the morning, I woke up to the sound of them finally starting the backhoe, starting the excavator. And at first, because it was the day that I was supposed to be getting my garbage picked up, I thought it was just the garbage trucks driving by. My bedroom is actually at the front of the house, so when the garbage trucks drive by every Friday, I tend to wake up to that noise. At first I thought, okay, whatever, I'll just, roll back over, wait until my alarm goes off, and then I'll get up for the day. Well, the noise never went away. I was like, why is the garbage truck parked in front of my house? So I looked out the front window, and I see the backhoe, and I'm like, great. What is this about? Or they finally came to fix the road and they decided to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning? Nope. That was the water company starting to dig up the area in front of my house. And because of that, we had no water on the entire street. They had shut off the water to the entire street to do this fix. And to make a long story short, they were there until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So 9 hours is what I got charged for. I got a premium rate for them being starting at 2 o'clock, so they got overtime for it, which means I got charged for one foreman at $34.16 an hour, two equipment operators at $31.96 an hour, and three utility workers at $26.98 an hour, for a grand total of $1,610.64 in labor. But it doesn't end there. They also increased that by a further 60% for what they call admin and benefits. So I got charged an extra $966.38 for admin and benefits. I got charged for 9 hours of using their backhoe at $40 an hour. I got charged 9 hours for their dump truck at $27 an hour. And I happen to know that the dump truck was there for about 3 hours. The backhoe was there for about 5.5. And they had a utility van there that was apparently there for 9 hours for $21 an hour. I got charged for their van. And I got charged for their pickup truck for $12 an hour for 9 hours. So total equipment fees was $900. Now that doesn't even count the materials. I got charged for 7.7 tons of asphalt for them to break up a line that was probably about 3 feet by 10 feet in a straight line across my property, or across the road in front of my property, because they actually didn't do anything on my property except screw up my grass by driving the backhoe on it. But I got charged 7.7 tons of asphalt at $95 per ton. I got charged for 20 tons of processed stone. That's the gravel that they put underneath the asphalt, for $23 per ton. And I got charged for one length of copper piping, which was probably about 10 or 11 feet long. That went from the water main to the edge of my property, and they charged me $112.65 for that. So all total on materials, we're at $1,304.15. So that means for labor, $1,610.64. For their 401k and whatever, another $966.38. $900 in equipment rental, and $1,304 in materials. But they also charged me a 15% surcharge on my materials, so I got charged an additional $195.52 for that. They also charged me $800 for a road permit. That's so that they can come back out here later after the ground has actually dried out, and in the spring when it's nice and dry and warm, they can come out here and redo all of that asphalt work, because apparently the asphalt that they put down after they do one of these fixes is temporary. That's what I was told by the city. So that brings us to a grand total of $5,776.80. What they didn't tell me was that could have only cost me $300. And it can't now, but it could have. The reason why it could have, when I bought the house, because nobody bothered to tell me that the city ordinance makes me responsible for that water line and that sewer line, and nobody bothered to tell me that I was able to actually get it insured. The insurance for water and sewer would have been $159 a month, or sorry, a year. $159 a year. And I've been in this house for exactly 2 years, which means that had I bought that insurance, I could have only paid the 300 and whatever, 159, like $320. I could have paid $320 for the insurance, and they would have covered the repairs. They would have covered all of this work. And I wasn't told about this. So the reason why I'm doing this video is not to complain about the fact that I'm getting this bill. This is a setback in my retirement plan. There's no two ways about that. I was not expecting a $6,000 bill at Christmas. I wasn't expecting then also to have my property reappraised at a higher value either, to increase my taxes going into 2020. What this video is about is the need to have a proper emergency fund and the need to have everything that you can insured properly. So in this case, I did not have the proper insurance, and that wasn't my fault, because if I had known about it, I would have owned it. I am overinsured on my property for homeowners insurance, enough to cover if this house was completely demolished and if I had to basically clear the lot and rebuild from scratch. It would cover the entire house plus everything that's in it. That's how high of insurance package that I got on this house. Had I known that that doesn't cover the water and sewer, and that I could have just, for $159 a year extra, I could have covered that as well, I would have been an idiot not to do it. And that's one of the things that I want you guys to take away from this. If you own a property, look into your city ordinance. Find out who's responsible for your water and your sewer line going into your house from the water main, from the sewer main. And if it's you, by city standards, look into getting that additional insurance. In my state, it's called Safety Valve. There's other companies probably for other states, but you can start there. Start with Safety Valve and see if it's available in your state. But make sure that you know whether or not you are actually properly insured on your property, because this is a $6,000 bill I was not expecting to pay. And so I found a couple of other issues with this as well. First of all, they don't take credit cards over the counter. So if I walked into their offices and I presented them with this invoice, I couldn't pay with a credit card. I would only have to pay with a check or a money order. And so I was lucky. I contacted the Board of Water Commissioners. I talked to their billing department, and I told them exactly what it was that that I felt was wrong about this. First of all, I don't agree with them saying that I had a water leak back in 2017, because if there was, either the seller's attorney or my attorney would have found that. They would have found that during their due diligence. The insurance company would have pulled something on that. The mortgage company would have found something on that. Nobody found it. And so if that is the case, then either the city dropped the ball and didn't actually have it recorded, or the city didn't even know about this until after I bought the house. Secondly, if the damage was done after I bought the house, then it was most likely because of the work that was done in the road by the natural gas company. Because where the actual damage to the line was directly below where the natural gas company had dug. I went out and I took pictures. I found where exactly the leak was. And the leak, we're not talking about a break in the water pipe here. We're talking about a leak that was literally small enough that you couldn't put a pencil through it. That's how thin it was. You could maybe get, if you were to take apart a pen and you were to look at that insert, that plastic insert that's inside of a pen, you could get that into the hole, but you wouldn't be able to get a pencil or a full-size pen through that hole. It was very, very tiny. So to say that that was causing enough of a water leak that And they were estimating 10,000 gallons a day going through that. It's impossible. And the thought that that would also cause flooding on the top of the street. First of all, if it was 10,000 gallons a day, 10,000 gallons is the size of a regular sized pool, a 10-foot deep in the deep end, like 4-foot deep in the shallow end. That size pool is about 10,000 gallons. If I was dumping that much water into the street every day, and it was like that since 2017, our entire street would have flooded out. We would have had a river running down our street. It's just physically not possible. And beyond that, the fact that they're saying that that is what was causing the icing issue, and that's why they had to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's BS. I'll just call it what it is. It's BS, because they knew about this issue supposedly in 2017. They could have fixed it in 2017, and this wouldn't have been an issue for me at all. If they're telling me the truth that they knew about this in 2017 and they didn't fix it in 2017, and they didn't charge the owner of the property at the time that it was in 2017, then that's on them. That's not on me. And the cost of having this fixed in overtime hours, the additional costs, these guys were not getting paid $34 an hour. They weren't getting paid $31, $32 an hour to be out there. I can tell you that. So, charging me the overtime, that's beyond ridiculous, given the fact that they supposedly knew about this for 2 years and they didn't bring it to my attention until just this year. So anyway, long and short, make sure you're insured. And because of the fact that they weren't willing to accept credit cards, make sure you have an emergency fund. In my case, I actually I got a really nice lady, because it was Christmas, and basically because I told her what had happened with the natural gas company and how I needed to take this to them in order for them to get paid. Now they would have to be willing to take a credit card. And so I got a really nice lady in their billing department who allowed me to make the payments on my credit card to the water bill, to that account. And then they transferred that money from the water account to this invoice. The reason why that was something that they don't normally do is because those are two separate systems. They handle actual road work and repair work in one system, and the water side of things is handled in a totally different system. So to do this, they actually have to do a little bit of accounting gymnastics. They have to move it from one general ledger account to another. And so this is not something that they do for everyone. And I got lucky. I was able to get them to do that for me. However, there was a catch, because there always is a catch. Here's the catch. $500 maximum on every transaction on a credit card on their accounting system for the water bill. So in order to pay this $5,776 bill, I have to actually apply 11 charges to my credit card at $500 each, and then the remainder left over. And for each one of those, it costs me $4.95 as a transaction fee. So I'm applying $500 charge to my account and paying a $4.95 fee in order to make that charge. And then I've got to do that 11 times. So basically I'm paying a 1% fee for every one of my charges, which is crazy. What I'm doing though, I'm actually going to profit a little bit off of that. Not really, because it's not really a profit. I'm still having to pay this crazy bill. But I am using two things to save myself from having to deal with the extreme amount of money that this is in a short period of time. One, the money that I'm actually charging to this card, I'm actually doing it to two different cards. I'm charging it to one card that I opened just last month. It's the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. I'm going to put $4,000 on that because Chase Sapphire Reserve has a bonus for people who just got the card. If you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months, they give you 50,000 Sky Miles. So that translates roughly to about $750 worth of airline credit when you book a passage through their Chase rewards program site. So I'm kind of getting $750 back on this by just using 4,000 of it for meeting that threshold. And then the remainder of it, the other $1,776, I'm actually applying to a different card that I had picked up about 3 or 4 months ago. It's the Capital One Quicksilver card. I have no interest on that card until February of 2021. So I won't have to pay any interest on any of this money because the $4,000 I'm putting on the Chase, I'm actually going to balance transfer over to that Quicksilver card as well. And then I won't have to pay any interest on any of this. I will get the $750 back, or $750 worth of airline credit for this. And then I will have to pay a little bit of a fee to balance transfer, 3% fee to balance transfer this money. But once you take into account the airline credit and the interest savings, I'm going to come out ahead. So while it sucks to get a $6,000 bill for Christmas, I'm at least going to do what I can to try to offset it as much as possible. But yeah, I didn't have an emergency fund that was big enough to cover this bill. I have my emergency fund right now is $2,500, so I couldn't even cover half of this bill. But that's why it's very important. Have an emergency fund. Make sure that it's 3 to 6 months of your current salary. I just started out building an emergency fund, so that's why it is so low. But emergency fund and insurance. Those are the two things you need to take away from this. If you own a house, I would love to know. Put something in the comments below. Let me know if your city also requires you to be responsible for the service line. Let me know if you guys have insurance on that, on your water and sewer. And let me know if you would be able to actually pay a $6,000 bill on short notice. Yeah, they give me a 30-day period to pay this bill in full. Or else they start charging me 0.5% interest per month. So let me know, could you pay this bill on short notice? Let me know if you have insurance on your water and sewer line, and let me know if your city actually requires you to be responsible for paying for repairs to your service line beyond your actual property line, because my city does. And I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments down below. With that said, like this video if you like it, dislike it if you don't, I guess. At this point, I don't know. I'm not going to hold it against you if you don't like it. I don't like it either. So, yeah, check out my other videos. I've got other videos. I got a video, actually, it would be over here. Yeah, I got a video over here for your credit cards for the Capital One Quicksilver and the Chase card. If you're interested in, that process that I'm doing with those, with the balance transfers. So I've got a video that tells you how I never pay interest on my credit cards. If you want to take a look at it, that would be great. Other than that, thank you very much for watching another video of MiFi Crusade. I hope to have my my roundup video for the year done again by the end of the year, but we'll see. It's Christmas. I'll try to get you a second video as a present. We'll see what I can do. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys next time.